Simplest and the quickest way would be the fact that we've actually changed it from a GSA model to our own office. Shows our commitment to the region, and obviously having Judy, who represented us on that side, and the work that she's done was important to make sure that we retain that learning, and in fact add and invest more into that as well. And over the past, I would say maybe 18 months, a lot has changed and will keep on changing going forward. The way we work, the kind of research that's being put into place, the inaugural report that we've released this year shows you the kind of information that we're trying to gather, put into place, and then share with the market as well. This all helps in order for us to better understand our target audiences, and at the same time, the more we understand them, the more we can address any concerns, any issues, or to learn to serve them better and continue doing that going forward. The industry is evolving, the communication channels keep on evolving. Social media today plays a huge role in decision making. To a certain degree, in certain markets, people are relying less on travel agents to actually convince them on a destination, and more on their own research, their own findings, and also their own way of booking those trips as well. So for us,
how are you measuring that? How do you know that?
Now what we do is, and what we've started doing, is we've conducted about 30,000 pieces of research all throughout, let's say, 12 or 18 months. From that, we've also leveraged, obviously, the physical office presence in those destinations to actually have one-on-one interviews, focus groups, to really understand the details of how each market decides who's the decision maker, what do they base their decisions on, what are the key factors that sways any decision. And then at the end of the day, is it the husband or the wife that decides? You know what I mean? So all of these key insights are very important for us. And again, every market is different, and it's there. You don't have a one-size-fits-all kind of solution. So the other thing that we did was, and this was a key learning for us early on, is that a lot of people come to Dubai as a destination, and they might take away 1, 2, or maybe 3 things, and that they go back with. That being, for example, if they were sold on Dubai or on a destination via a hotel operator, they would come to that property and maybe enjoy the hotel, enjoy the service, the room and everything, the experience, the beach. They might actually have an excursion to the mall as one of the days that they go out, and that's it. And they would end up going back, taking a great experience, but restricted and limited to only that. And they believe that that's all that Dubai has to offer. So we quickly had to go back and see what is information that's currently available about Dubai. And we found out that there was close to none, or things were obsolete, inaccurate, and not enough in general, right? And not getting into a deep dive into what Dubai has to offer. So what we did was we quickly started identifying what are the key pillars that we believe we can confidently showcase about Dubai. So retail became one, but then you have retail, the new glitzy, brand new shopping malls, but then not everyone's interested in that. So then we also have the retail aspect, which is the spice markets, the gold souks, and the textile markets, which is absolutely, because a lot of people, that's where they decide.
Because there's a lot of misconceptions about Dubai, aren't there, as well? So when you talk to a lot of Australians, they, you say, I'm going to Dubai, or they'll say, oh yeah, I've been to Dubai. Oh really, did you enjoy it? I stopped off in the airport. Why? Oh, I didn't want to go there because it's unsafe and women are treated badly. And, you know, all this sort of stuff. You know, and you go, that is so wrong. You know? So how are you then applying this research now, and how's it influencing your marketing on the ground in countries like Australia to actually get that message across and change those misconceptions?
Absolutely. That's actually, you've hit the nail on the head. That's one of the concerns that we had. Besides the pillars that we've identified to communicate the messages of Dubai from, like retail, gastronomy, all of the things that Dubai has to offer, outdoor beach and outdoor adventure and things like that, arts, heritage, culture. Because again, to your point, the other misconception is people think that Dubai is 43 years old, when they fail to realize that it's the UAE that's 43 years old, but Dubai is older, and you have buildings that are, for example, like late 1800s, early 1900s, and there's that architecture and how the designs were made with the narrow alleyways so the sun doesn't come down, and those kind of things again are important and authentic. But then on the safety aspect of things, if I send pretty pictures with a nice little message, that won't do the job. So this is where social media will play a big role.
Yeah.
The kind of content that we create, the kind of partnerships that we develop with the journalists, with the influencers, bringing them to Dubai. Let them have the genuine, authentic experience of what Dubai has to offer. Let them go back and genuinely write about it.
Yeah.
Now, at the end of the day, you can't convince everyone. If that individual comes and genuinely didn't enjoy the experience, they can go back and write about it, but at least they had an opportunity to really see what Dubai has to offer.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you that more often than not, and I would say 99%, would go back really blown away with what the city has to offer.
So one of Julie's targets obviously is that, you know, I find it distressing, okay, and I spend a lot of time in Dubai because my son lives here, is that when you get off the plane...
Good choice, by the way. So
sorry? He's,
good choice.
Of course, he works for Emirates, so it's a good choice.
Oh, excellent.
He's doing very well. And so, you know, you get off the aircraft, okay, and then there's people going connections and transit and everything, and the world goes that way, and you go this way, you know, because you're going to Dubai. And how do you change that, you know? I mean, it's challenging for you guys in Australia as a market to actually shift that.
It is, and we're investing quite a lot now with the new brand, and we're going to TV for the first time really this year as well. And we're doing a lot of work with TV influencers, as Issam said, and other outlets to do that. So it's a process that we're going through, and we will eventually get everyone talking about it, and also with the development of new attractions and experiences. Dubai is going to become more of a destination to families. It's going to become a longer stay to the segments that we're stopping over. The word of mouth through everything that we're going to do is going to become a lot stronger.
I think to add to Julie's point, actually, if you look at the way Dubai has grown, right? It's been almost an organic growth, and a lot of people that I know, again, because the demographic or the makeup of Dubai's population is like 20% are native Emiratis, and 80% are people who chose Dubai as home. So that in itself gives us a huge platform to start communicating about Dubai. The other thing that's important is that when you look at that in itself, is that Dubai has about 1/3 of the world's population living within a 4-hour radius and 2/3 within an 8-hour flight radius. Then you look at the connectivity of Emirates Airlines globally, and you see that Dubai being that hub for a lot of other airlines as well. The open skies policies that actually is more than welcoming for people to actually use Dubai as that hub. So for us, all of those things play a significant role in getting people into Dubai. Business events is another thing that we focus on, even though the business tourists make up about 20% of the overall numbers. But they, again, are more often than not are convinced that this is a destination that they should definitely come back again with family and with friends. So all of these things are important. But when I go back to the organic growth aspect of it, a lot of people used to come to Dubai back then, and a lot of friends, people that I know, used to come maybe for a short stay, 2 or 3 days, and they'd always go back and say like, that's all you need in Dubai. Yeah, exactly.
That's it. Yeah.
And it used to irritate me in the past, but then I thought about it. All I used to showcase to them was the brand new buildings, the brand new things that they've seen in all the developed cities. When I started showcasing the other side of Dubai, everything else that Dubai has to offer, the same group of people now come to Dubai for, let's say, 10 days, and they start stressing, saying, I haven't seen enough, and I want to come back again, I didn't see everything. And
that's a good segue into some of the stuff we've seen this week. Last week, whatever it was, in terms of the new contemporary Dubai and the link across into cultural and social issues, because a lot of people perceive Dubai as somewhere where you do not have a lot of freedom and you can't, do things that you want to do. And yet we went to that fashion pop-up, and I talked to 2 young girls there who were designing and making clothes, and they were very sexy outfits. And I was asking, well, can you wear these in Dubai? And they went, of course, anything goes in Dubai, So that perception, how are you communicating that,
See, I mean, look, at the end of the day, you will still have people who will ask questions just because of the geographical location of Dubai. It's very hard to remove ourselves completely out of that. But having said that, it's only when people come to Dubai and they realize the relaxed nature of the people and the community and the society. And also one thing that's very important, the safety, security aspect. And a lot of people who come from developed cities, and I'm talking about global metropolis of the world, and they come and they're just shocked about how women can be walking alone by the beach at 1 o'clock in the morning. Nobody hassles them or harasses them or anything. Comforts such as leaving your mobile phone on a table, placing an order, taking half an hour, coming back, and you know that you'll still find it there. These things are important. The only thing that, and I always highlight to people, I'm like, look, on a day-to-day basis, unless you're going to specific outlets, as long as you're dressed in a way that I would say you could, by appropriate I mean like that you would wear to even a casual day at an office anywhere in the world. You can wear that in Dubai. So there aren't any restrictions where people start to get more specific.
It used to be in terms of dress codes, isn't it? You know, so like 5 years ago, I think it seemed to be a bit stricter. I see, you know, a lot of even Arab young ladies wearing more Western clothes.
I think it's the change of the generations that are coming up more than anything else. So I think that Dubai is also organically shifting with it. I don't think it was something that was a decision was made by them. People are starting to realize that you could be a bit more relaxed than we would have thought 5 or 10 years ago. And you can see that changing, and you're absolutely right. I mean, we still have the traditional clothes as you can see, but that doesn't mean that I wouldn't be wearing jeans and a t-shirt in the evenings. And the same goes for all the nationalities that live here as well. I mean, you have that comfort, because at the end of the day, beach is one of the primary things that people come to Dubai for, and they come to enjoy that in Dubai. So that shows you that Dubai has a lot to offer, and they are very, very comfortable with that, and it's something that we definitely proudly offer as a product. And I think
I don't want to hold the conversation, but
no, sure.
With the report,
just like obviously since the Qantas tie-up, whenever it's Australian numbers to Dubai increased.
Yes.
Just wondering how pleased you are with overall numbers from Australia, New Zealand, that region.
You're saying this next to her.
we like Julie.
And how much more potential there is.
Julie pays us, by the way.
No, I will say, look, definitely the numbers are growing, and something I think I told Julie as well a while back. For me, especially with the fact that Qantas has actually started flying to Dubai, and the relationship with them in Emirates, I just think that for the next year or two, I will not even use it as a benchmark. That is literally establishing its natural growth, and then set a benchmark from there. I seriously think that there's huge potential from that market, and I think the more that they realize that there is in common between what they like to do and what Dubai has to offer, the easier it becomes for them to understand that, and the fact that the weathers are actually on opposite ends. It's perfect. Actually, I don't know what you guys, because the surf, I'm assuming during the summer, is very different to the surf during the winter in Australia. So
you're a young modern Emirati, okay? So you're in a powerful position, running a very powerful organisation. Okay? What's your background? How did you end up in this, and where did you go to college and so on?
I actually studied here all my life. Even college was in Dubai, and I think the education system here, that you have the choice whether you go for the government schools or the private schools. And the private schools, which you see again, because of the amount of non-native Emiratis who live here, the private schools and the standards of the schools have actually kept on going higher and higher. So you can see you've got schools from wide regions from across the world to make sure that they're catering for everyone. And I think there's an example that was said to me a while back, which was Dubai is not necessarily a melting pot of cultures, but the way that they described it, I found it very interesting, was that they said it's more of a fruit salad, because you don't really become one personality. Each one still remains within their own identity, but living in total harmony with one another. And so that is also reflective of the schools. So you have different schools to cater to different tastes, because different parents want to make sure that when their kids grow older, they might want to go to university back home. So at least that option is still open for them. But at the same time, for me personally, moving from the school and college, I eventually ended in tourism on the Dubai World Trade Center side, which looked purely on the business side of tourism, conferences, associations, exhibitions, and then also some of the consumer events, such as musical events and sports events that were created for Dubai's calendar. And then eventually, about a year and a half ago, when this corporation was established under the DTCM to try and bring a more dynamic approach to the way Dubai is promoted, I was brought into this role.
And your degree or whatever is in?
Business administration, with a focus in marketing and communications.
Bruce? I was very interested in the changing methodology that you used for this report. So when you got your year on year, have you gone back and gathered those? Like, I noticed that you're counting nights on cruise ships, VFR, all that sort of thing. Were you able to gather that historically to sort of work out your year on years?
The thing is, even if we were to do that, right, I'm sure we have the numbers, but the thing is for us, the way we look at it, we didn't want to be in a position where we're sharing numbers unless we are 100% sure that the numbers are accurate. And by accurate, I mean literally triangulating the information across different platforms and different inputs. And I think if I were to go back, it'll be unfair to assess it. I mean, we might look dramatically better, and it'll make us look good, but at the end of the day, I wouldn't be confident to say that that is a benchmark. So we wanted to literally start afresh with numbers that we were so confident with. Absolutely. And I know that there has been a growth because we can tell by the number of additional hotel rooms that have come online and the occupancy rates, how they've grown. And plus, what we've done is we've introduced quarterly forums with the stakeholders from the industry. So you have 5-star sector meetings that take place, 3 and 4-star sector hotels, airlines, the retail sector, DMCs. So we're always with them, always pulse checking, always sharing information that we get from our offices and our research, feeding back into them, listening to them, what are their frustrations, what are the things that they're facing. Because at the end of the day, for us, it's one thing is kind of going back to the point that we were talking about how we're looking at growing the numbers, is we know the markets that we're already strong in, and if you look at Saudi Arabia being our #1 key source market, proximity plays a big role obviously in that. The events and the festivals, the stuff that we create needs to cater to the near region, because a lot of them look at Dubai's calendar of events and the ease of access for them to come to Dubai for their stays, whether it's short or slightly on a longer side. So that becomes important for us. But then also, as we're doing that and as we're developing that, we need to also look at further afield, everything that we're doing on the product offering, and then we look at the services that help the ecosystem as a whole. So you have the airlines, Emirates, and Emirates in terms of service, they kind of set the benchmark. So when people come to Dubai, they're now expecting the best of service. And when people come to Dubai, even if, let's say, they're not going to a 5-star hotel, but there's a certain expectation that they have when they come to Dubai. They expect certain luxuries and stuff like that, because that's what the brand is associated with. So what we did was, if you look at any of the research that was done in the past or figures that were shared, they always talk about Dubai being the most expensive on average room rate. And the only reason that is the case is because we have a larger number of 5-star offerings. So that kind of skews the number for us. But that also highlights to us that as we grow to the 20 million benchmark, we need to have a lot more of the 3 and 4-star sector, as well as holiday homes, which we also last year announced that we're going to regulate it to make sure when people are actually booking those rooms, it's safe, it's secure, and they know that they're going to get certain services with that as well.
So how are you measuring your VFR?
The VFR, the VFR has to go across several fronts. Obviously, the immigration plays a big role in that as well, and then we have to correlate that with the number of the hotel occupancy.
So hotel occupancy. Just work it out.
Absolutely. We have a team in place that actually looks after number crunches, all of those facts and cross checks them regularly. Then if you look at the 3 and 4-star sector, we realize that there's a demand in that sector, and will be growing, because a lot of people, when they come with families, if they come as couples, they might be more than happy to go to a 5-star hotel. But when they come in bigger numbers, they want to have a lot more disposable income to spend in Dubai, so less on the hotels. So what we decided was, to encourage the investment, because at the end of the day, a lot of people are investing in the hospitality sector and hotels because they realize that there is that opportunity to make a lot of money, right? So what we did was we announced a incentive program, which is waiving off the 10% municipality fees for the first 5 years for anybody investing in the 3 and 4-star sector. And that was announced, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was March 2014. And by November, that's the last time I checked, so we might need to get you the more accurate figures, but by that time, we had over 50 applications that came in purely for the 3 and 4-star sector. So that kind of shows you that the appetite is there, even in the market itself. But again, I would like to highlight that even if we are focusing on the 3 and 4-star sector, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed was adamant and said, like, yes, this decree has been passed to encourage that investment, but this is to cater to the budget in terms of spend, but not on experience. The experience should still be that 5-star experience, because that's what people expect with Dubai. So we cannot compromise on that. And that has to be reflected also when people interact with passport control. So it's still not where we think it should be, but it's definitely better than where it was a couple of years ago. and it's still evolving. The same thing happens when you go to the taxis. We want to make sure that the taxi, and we did this quick training session with them last year with 300 taxi drivers, just giving them basic skills and basic information that they'll be able to share and reflect on with their passengers. Same thing goes to the hotel desk and the concierge, making sure that they are well positioned and geared to book those hard to get seats and hard to get tickets and information, and be able to upsell the other services and everything else that are happening in Dubai, because that encourages people to come back not once but again and again and again.
It's like NASA. In NASA, you say to the guy who cleans the bathrooms, you know, what's your job? He says, I'm putting a man on the moon.
Absolutely.
And you want the taxi driver.
That's exactly it.
Building Dubai tourism.
That's exactly it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The quality of service and customer care here is very good though.
Yeah.
But still, for us, anything that we do, we've been always trained to be aiming to be that number one. So we become that benchmark globally. We are never satisfied with, even when we become that benchmark, we're always trained to say we're 99% there, because we always believe that there's room for improvement. Absolutely. And it's literally top down, and everyone's involved in it, and each one of the team members, everyone who plays a role in this knows that they can pick up the phone and call the right people. One interesting fact I would like to share with you is when we launched this logo last year, besides the fact that it's a pretty logo and the fact that it combines the English and Arabic in one, made my life much easier, because now when I put it anywhere, I don't have to think of what the Arabic would look like against the English and taking up that space and that real estate, you know? So the other biggest aspect of this was that we managed to get all the stakeholders, the key stakeholders who interact with our guests, our clients, which is the tourists, to also adopt it as well. And then that just means, I mean, intrinsically they're connected into the same system. So now they all feel that they play a bigger part.
As well.
Absolutely. So when we make a phone call and say like, we need you to do this, they're doing it without even thinking twice about it. There's no more convincing or lobbying or trying to get that support. Everyone's on board. They know the agenda. We want to get that 20 million tourists by 2020, and everyone is on board to make sure that they do their part.
Okay. And you're confident of that? Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So Dubai is obviously a very multicultural place.
Yes.
One of us cultures and one of us. So what would you say to the travellers that think that Dubai doesn't have enough traditional Emirati experiences?
I think, look, I mean, the thing is, first of all, the culture of Dubai and the fact that you have almost 200 cultures living side by side is very unique. And the way that it's represented in that total peace, total harmony, and the way that they live alongside one another is its own culture in its own self of Dubai, of Dubai, part of this UAE that's 43 years old. But if you actually go back and look into the areas of Dubai which I would say were under-promoted, you would see that there is a part to Dubai that exists that are so uniquely belongs to not just the UAE but to Dubai itself. The creek side, where the business actually started, that hub. And you look at the spice markets, the textile markets, some of those shops and the owners that have been there for years, 20 or 30 odd years, some of them as long as UAE has been there. So it's very important for people to come and really see that. That in itself needs a few days for people to really enjoy everything that has to offer.
Yeah, there's a, I think in the report it shows that obviously the biggest activity for visitors is the mall, Dubai Mall.
Yes, absolutely.
Experience.
Yeah.
So do you find people that are coming here are not appreciating that side of Dubai enough, or is there
I think there's more work for us as Dubai Tourism to do in highlighting that. I don't think that people don't go to it, but I think is that maybe, and I believe a lot of them aren't as aware as they should be about that area of Dubai, and I think we should definitely do, and that again becomes something that we would need our partners within the industry to also highlight, and because at the end of the day, any touch point, any interaction is an opportunity, and we want to make sure that they have enough information at their disposal to be able to identify the clients and the clients' needs and address them by actually giving them the information that is relevant to the audience. Because again, I think what we're doing now is we're developing a lot of the newer parts of Dubai, right? But again, it's our job to make sure that we shed light to where it all started. That was the hustle and bustle of where the business industry and everything all initiated.
surely everyone's interested in
yeah,
about that.
absolutely.
And from what I've seen from just the group that we're with, it's been a major focus for us to experience that,
but see,
to learn about that.
It's new for us in terms of really showcasing it in the way we are. And SMCCU is another thing, because SMCCU actually gives people an opportunity. Again, like I said, just because we make up 20% of the population, we wanted to make sure that that authentic experience of the Emirati side also comes out. So SMCCU actually helps bridge that gap, where people can ask questions that sometimes they might be a little shy to ask, or they might be a bit sensitive towards asking. What's great about the SMCCU and how they handle that is that they bring those questions up to the forefront and they actually ask it for you.